Namaste everyone. This is your host Akshay Raina. Welcome to the episode of Yekjah Show. I have with me Vikas Raina. Vikas ji, thank you for joining. You've been a very vocal
Namaskar,
participant.
Akshay.
You've been a very vocal participant for the genocide that happened to all the Kashmiri Pandits. And I think you also run an organization, India for Kashmir se. So any information if you need related to Kashmiri Pandits and any updated news, I think you are the go-to guy for everybody. So let's start with a bit of introduction about the massacre that happened in 2000, back in 2003, the Nadimarg Massacre. So if you can give us a bit of brief about that.
Yes, thanks, Akshay, for putting across this podcast so that people actually will come to know what happened in Nadimarg. See, this is a very tragic kind of story. In 2003, 23rd March, I guess, a bunch of 8 to 9 terrorists came to this place which is known as Nadimarg, and it is in district Shopian. Shopian is, you must be hearing today also, it's the hotbed of terrorism today also. So what they did, it was a pre-planned thing, and it was done in a very meticulous method, because the houses were identified, the people were identified earlier, and at that night 6 to 7 terrorists came in a uniform, in an army uniform, and asked people that we are army men and we want to see how many Kashmiri Pandits are living here and all that. They were taken out. Almost 24 people were killed, massacred, out of which there were 11 women, 11 men, and 2 kids. Those kids were not more than, I think one was 3-year-old and one was 5-year-old. So they were shot at point blank range. You must have seen Kashmir Files also. So it's the same massacre which was shown there.
Yes.
In the end. So it was done by Lashkar-e-Toiba, which is a Pakistan tutored based organization, which has been active since 1989, and they have created havoc in Kashmir. They have killed hundreds of Kashmiri Hindus, and it was the chief at that point of time was Zia Mustafa, who was a Pakistan local and a terrorist working in Kashmir, who was recently killed in 2020 or 21.
Yeah, 21, yes.
So see, 21. So see the amount of leverage these terrorists get in Kashmir. This massacre happened in 2003. He was alive till 2021. So it means 17 years. He was running and he was hiding here and there. How was he hiding also? So the answer is that there was a patronage from locals of that place. Because whenever they used to do these kind of massacres, they used to then go and hide at some local place. There was full support from locals, administration, bureaucracy. The kind of ecosystem was developed where they commit crime and they hide themselves and they get away. So Nadimarg massacre was very, it was not 1990. Let's understand this fact. It was not 1990, it was almost 13 years after 1990. So the massacre of, because what they wanted, what they still want today also, is that there should not be any Hindu existence. It is not about only Kashmiri Pandits. Any Hindu existence, they don't want them in Kashmir. So same thing happened in Nadimarg also, because the whole village was wiped out. So these were the people who were living there with them, And they didn't, the exodus, when exodus happened, they didn't leave their homeland. So they had faith in these so-called neighbors or locals of that, or majority of that place in Kashmir. But what happened after 13 years? Whole community from a village was wiped out. So this is the tragedy which we are facing since last 30 years, is betrayal, betrayal, betrayal and betrayal. You cannot trust anybody there. Since it's happening today also. You must have seen how many killings, 7 killings in last 6, 8, 9 months.
Yes.
So it's only betrayal from the community. And see, government has a limitation to do things. I'm not talking about this government. This government also is a failure. Earlier governments also are failures.
Yes.
But there's a limitation. What if the civil society of that case, they doesn't wake up, then nothing is going to happen. Because if a terrorist kills anybody and sits in their home, they have to tell people that there is a terrorist at our home, and they have to disengage this from this patronage and from this ecosystem. Then only Kashmir will be a peaceful place.
Right. Yeah, I think both the unfortunate है ये, and even the government has proven to be a massive failure over the years. It's just that we've, more often than not, we've been a part of very dirty politics, irrespective कि हम लोगों को कुछ justice seems very far-fetched even right now. I mean, it's been what, 32 years since
It
then.
is, it is like that. ये ऐसा ही है. Justice. See, what is our closure? If we ask ourselves, you are a young guy. I don't think so. You were born also at that place,
Right.
at that point of time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
What is closure for us or you or for a community? There's only closure in terms of if we get a judicial closure. Our killers are still roaming free, right?
Right.
They are still free. They are roaming free and all that. So the closure is not that Kashmiri Pandit going there and living. Obviously, it is one part of that. But major closure is that people who were massacred, martyred for being a Hindu, for being a nationalist Hindu, still haven't got the closure. It has been more than 32, 33 years now. So judicial closure, we want our killers to be convicted. See, it is the travesty of justice that still almost more than 1,000 people have been killed and not a single conviction has happened. Where will you see these things? Not a single conviction. So closure for us is that people who have killed us should be convicted. They should be hanged by neck till death. That is justice for us. That is closure for us.
Yeah. So Vikas ji, एक बार let's revisit that trauma, unfortunately, though. But so while this massacre was going on, I think surely काफी सभी लोग थे जो पुलिस के पास भी गए होंगे. In fact, गए थे. We have a lot of testimonies also. So how did the police did justice to this? What was their reaction? How did they fail to even help us in even supporting us in giving us a safe haven for some time till this matter would have settled down?
What had happened since 1986, I don't know if you know this thing, 1986 में अनंतनाग में राइट्स हुए थे.
Yeah.
बहुत ही टेरेबल राइट्स हुए थे. कश्मीरी पंडितों की जो हिंदूज की प्रॉपर्टी थी एन मास जलाई गई थी, दुकानें जलाए गए थे. ये एक्चुअली शुरू हुआ है वहां से. जब ये इकोसिस्टम, व्हेन दिस इकोसिस्टम वाज मेड, so it had involvement of police, it had involvement of politicians, it had involvement of social society, social circle and civil society also.
Right.
And not in Kashmir only, but outside Kashmir also, which today we call urban Naxals.
Yes.
So at that point of time when Nadimarg happened, there were a lot of people who went to police. Okay, if you still see the FIRs of that, it is still said, it happened in 2003, I think till 2006 or 7, it was said that there were unidentified people who killed these.
Yes.
ये जिया मुस्तफा का जो नाम आया है ये 2007 के बाद आया है.
Right.
Okay, police didn't do anything for us, not at that point of time also. वहां पे पुलिस ने कुछ नहीं हमारे लिए किया. पुलिस ने इवन FIRs भी नहीं लिखी. अगर FIRs लिखी भी तो उन पे कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया गया. तो ये हिसाब से पुलिस भी totally involved थी. Police was also involved in our massacre. So in our genocide, police actually played a very important role of suppressing our justice, freedom.
Right.
Because they didn't do anything. There was no action taken on anybody and all. So मेरे को याद है when we were studying this case, I don't remember, a guy which told me that I had been in 2005, this happened in 2003, 2005 mein he had been. He was a journalist, he was an upcoming journalist, I won't name him right now. He's a very renowned person today, and he's a very good journalist. He told me that I went in 2005 and I inquired about those FIRs. He stayed there for 4 days, but no FIR copy was given to him.
Right.
So see, I don't know whether FIRs were also done. Then in 2017, 2011, there was some kind of movement on this case. But we know that lack of evidence,
Yes.
lack of testimonies, lack of all those things, and they get scot-free. And this is what happened at that point of time also. There were no FIRs also written at that point of time in some cases. At Nadimarg में तो उन्होंने investigate भी नहीं किया ज़्यादा.
Right.
And we were left alone by these human rights watchdogs also.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
Claim to be
They are equally responsible.
Yeah. Who claim to be
Yes,
the flag bearers of human rights.
of human rights. And can you imagine, this is the biggest plot on the history of modern India, that 5 lakh or 3 lakh, people say 3 lakh, 4 lakh, I am telling you 1 lakh on. Even
Yes.
if it's 1 lakh people leaving their homeland and getting scattered all over the world, they still, what is your address? If you ask your father,
Right.
what is his address, he won't be able to tell you. There's no address. We don't have any address. A Maharashtrian comes to Delhi, works in Delhi,
Yeah.
goes back to Maharashtra, to his home. Where would a Kashmiri Pandit go? He doesn't have an address.
Right. So विकास जी एक प्राइम अक्यूज्ड था जिया मुस्तफा. I think he was called for 68 times. There were evidences, but yeah, he was, and police actually failed to produce that perpetrator.
Yeah.
In front of the court.
It was also told that there was lack of manpower.
Yeah.
Of the police. You imagine this thing. Imagine this thing. Police were, you know this fact that Zia Mustafa, when he was called and he was caught, for 6 or 7 hearings, initial hearings, he was not taken from jail because police gave a reason that they don't have manpower to protect him, so that they can actually bring him to the courts. 7 times this happened.
Right.
So imagine this thing. How did the collusion happen? He was a prime accused and he was a mastermind behind this massacre. So imagine police saying that I cannot bring a person to the court because I am not sure that if I would be able to protect that person
Yeah.
and safely bring him to court. So look at what kind of argument was given to police, and above all, the courts agreed to those arguments
Absolutely.
and dismissed those things in 2011.
Yeah. I think it was एक collective failure था administration का. You have the
Yes, yes,
forces. It was a collective failure. And what's more unfortunate is it's taken 32 years for something like this to even come up. I think I mean,
come up.
everybody talks about Sikh rights, जो कि 84 में हुए थे. I mean, 6 साल पहले. So we have evidences. We see people claiming ki, but there's nothing on
Yes,
Kashmiri Pandits. There's you could rarely find before the Kashmir files even released. There were people who were absolutely oblivious कि ऐसा भी कुछ हुआ था.
and that is one of the best things that Kashmir Files have done for us. See, we know our story.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this podcast right now? Because we want to tell people our story. We know our story. Kashmir File told people who are not Kashmiris that what happened to us. I remember some few of my friends in Mumbai and Bangalore watched this movie and telling me that you never told us about these things. This is horrible. Is it true that this happened to you? Is it? They were feeling pathetic about themselves
Yeah.
that they never voiced these things. So that is one of the best things that Kashmir Files have done with us. And you are rightly in saying that 32 years have passed. There's nothing. There's no tribunal which is happening. There's no SIT which is happening. People are not getting justice. Even if people are in jail, like Yasin Malik is in jail and Pita Karate also is in jail, they are not for their criminal offenses, not for their murders.
Yeah.
They are for money laundering and helping terrorists and all that. But they are the biggest terrorists who have killed people in broad daylight.
Yeah. I mean, that's very unfortunate. So if my memory recalls me correct, I think 2007 में एक there was a superintendent of police in Pulwama who filed a petition to transfer that the case should be transferred to Jammu Court. Yeah, so that the witnesses, they could in fact at
be
least they without
examined,
any
they could be asked,
without any fear.
and
Even
all that.
the court dismissed that petition as well.
Yes, because it was a total collusion at that point of time. 2007, it was a total collusion at that point of time. Even hats off to that police officer who at least had these guts to come out and say, because he knew that if the case would be in Kashmir, nothing will happen. The witnesses won't come. No cross-examination can be done. Even the testimonies cannot be recorded. So that is why he said to put it. But that time it was, as we are discussing, it was a collective failure.
Yeah.
So judiciary is also involved in this thing. Judiciary was also involved in this thing. So how difficult it is for a judiciary to transfer a case to other place where you don't have you don't feel secure about, because you know that this would be very impartial on the part of a petitioner, because if the witnesses won't be examined, if the testimonies won't be recorded, then how would he even pursue that case?
Yes.
Same is happening bitter karate case also. Because when the lawyer went there for first hearing, he was literally heckled in court. He felt threatened. Second time when he went, there was no security provided to him outside airport. So now that lawyer has gone back and he has also filed a petition where he has said, please transfer it to Jammu High Court so that a fair and impartial trial can be conducted.
I think there was an attempt to even whitewash those cases. कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ ही नहीं है. It was just another terrorist attack that happened, which Kashmir was very used to.
That is what I am saying. Na? First 3 years after the attack, 2 or 3 years, the FIR copies used to say that they were unidentified people. When you say unidentified people, then it's a whitewash direct. Even बच्चा उस गांव का जानता था that Zia Mustafa was there. There were 3 locals also.
Right.
In those 6-7 terrorists. I don't know, Ahmad Ishfaq tha, or there was one Maqbool Shah. So what I'm trying to say is that there was complete whitewash of this thing. And in 2011, it was directly even dismissed that something like this has happened also. So when you imagine 24 people were butchered, out of which there were 11 ladies, 2 kids, 11 men. They were shot point blank range in broad daylight, in the sense in front of everybody. So imagine how many witnesses would be there. But no question was asked to anybody, and it was the file was closed, saying that we couldn't have more witnesses. The evidence, due to lack of evidence and due to lack of witnesses, we should not move on with this thing, and it should be held back and dismissed.
Right. I think a lot of families left immediately once that happened across the valley. So there were multiple locations जहाँ से people started leaving.
Yes, there were more than almost, I don't know the exact record, but it is said that almost 40 to 45 families from the neighboring village left within 10 days of this massacre that was happening. So migration and exodus not only happened in 1990, but because of these incidences, it happened in parts also. So people were feeling threatened. People are still feeling threatened there. Because why you feel threatened? I will tell you. The reason for feeling threatened is, I was a 10-year-old kid when we left Valley. We used to feel threatened because we know everything was with them. Everybody was with them. So if something happens to you, or you feel threatened, where would you go? You go to police, right?
Yes.
You go to administration, but everything was with them. So it was a lawless land at that point of time, and gradually it happened like that. And the situation today is better in certain ways, that dreadedness of, because now they have an agenda of not having any Hindu in Kashmir.
Yeah.
It is not only Kashmiri Pandits. They don't really want any Hindu in Kashmir. Civil society there is still sleeping, and they would be sleeping because it is on their patronage that Kashmir is getting destroyed day in and day out.
एक तो it's very unfortunate, and second it's the fact that even after knowing everything now that a lot of people know a lot of things, अभी भी हम लोग कुछ कर नहीं रहे हैं. I think अभी recently, of course it's a topic for another podcast, I'll have to call you another time, but recently what has happened in Shopian, it's just the same. It's people are again, they've fled Shopian again, but it's still, it feels like 2003 all over again, but again कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. Administration is sleeping, administration is doing nothing. A lot of Kashmiri Hindus who work there, they're again being forced to leave.
See why we left. First of all, why we left, why our parents left. It is threat to your life, right? When you would be alive, then only you can fight, right?
Exactly.
It's a direct threat to our life. It's a direct threat there to our life, because it is how much security can also be provided. I don't understand this. Obviously, I won't be confined to a ghetto, right? I have to go out, right? I have to मेरे को सब्जी लाने जाना है, मेरे को दूध लाने जाना है, मेरे को बच्चे को स्कूल छोड़ना है, मेरे को बच्चे को लाना है, मेरे को हॉस्पिटल जाना है, मेरे को किसी से मिलने जाना है. So that is what I'm saying. There's nothing normal right now also.
Yeah.
So we have to think, and this is our land. They are the guests there. It is our land. It is Kashmir. Kashmir has a ityasa of more than 10,000 years.
Yeah.
So it is not something like Kashmir was built when Shah Hamdan came. No. Kashmir has a huge history before that also.
Absolutely.
So it's our land. We have to find ways. I don't honestly. It is not the trust on the government or anything, but I really don't feel that we should look up to government now. Nobody can do anything there. Let me tell you straightway, because people there, they are not willing to change.
Right.
So we have to do something we have to find ways. We have to fight our own battles. As I told you, we have to go to legal system.
Right.
There are a lot of people who are doing it right now, and a lot of petitions have already been filed. And recently, you must have seen Sarvanand Premi's son's this thing, where the Human Rights Commission has asked for a report on his murder and this thing. So things are moving on. Things are on this thing, but Kashmir is still not a secure place for us, right?
Yeah. I think whatever has happened in the last 6 months can prove testimony to it that it's still not one of those places that it used to be before.
Yes.
Everything happened.
Yes.
So I think एक अच्छा move जो इस game में आया है is that the court has realized now, and the cases are now again in the mix.
Yes, they are moving at a very snail pace, but they are moving ahead.
Yeah,
it is because, as I earlier also told you, that judicial closure is very important for us, for our justice. So you must not be knowing this thing also. My father was also assassinated by terrorists.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, so in it was in 1997. I don't know whether you have read this. It's known as Gruesome Massacre.
Yeah,
3 Kashmiri Pandits were
killed.
Yeah. So I have been fighting myself with these things, and things are moving on. It will take time. We won't relent. We are a very resilient kind of race.
Absolutely.
So
I think we've proven it over
we
and
have
over
young
again.
people, yeah, we have young people like you who are moving ahead and talking about these things, because uh, you must be hearing stories from your parents, from your elders. So this is very important. You have to keep it alive. So that is how we can fight these things. तो on, अगर हम सोने से क्या होगा उतने से क्या होगा तो फिर
Yeah. So, one final word, Vikas ji, before we can wrap it up. I know it's you. We've been pushing the timeline also, and you have to go as well. But I'll surely get you again on this podcast because there is a lot that needs unearthing. काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो अभी तक मेन स्ट्रीम नहीं आई हैं. So how do you see this case that अभी जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट अभी in fact not the Supreme Court but
I yeah, the High Court has
the High Court
started
has
this
started the case again.
as a sumo moto.
Yeah.
This thing, I see a glimmer of hope, and let's be positive about this thing. I see that things will move on, but it will take time. We have to be very patient. We have waited for 33 years. It might take more 33 years. So what Jews fought for 1,000 years, then they got their land. So we have to keep. I see a lot of hope in this thing. I see now judiciary coming and asking questions to the administration, to the police and all that. What happened to these things?
Right.
Because at that point of time, what had happened was they ridiculed everything. So now karma is coming back to them. They have to answer the question. They have to. If judiciary decides, then now none can stop this thing, and justice will be delivered to us. So I think I personally feel very hopeful, and there are a lot of people whom I talk to in my community seems to be very hopeful of this case. Justice would be delivered and should be delivered, and we have to pursue. We don't have to relax. We have to fight back.
So, Vikas ji, एक final thought. What would it mean to the community itself? I mean, of course, for me, it would mean a world to me. But how once the justice is served?
I'll tell you in one word: relieved. So, whole community would be relieved, and they will feel that now that justice has been delivered, and they will get this boost of getting into groove and asking government to reopen or actually create a SIT where our genocide would be first. Our genocide should be acknowledged. It is a genocide. Genocide. It's a cultural genocide. It's a social genocide. It's a financial genocide which has happened to us. Obviously, it's a criminal genocide also, because we were killed, raped, extorted. So it will be, for a whole community, it will be a relief. They will feel that justice has been delivered. So that is what community will feel about this case if justice is delivered through this case, and it will open a new gate where, through the reference point of this case, we can move other cases also, because there have been more than 50, 60 massacres where not a single person but three, four people have been killed. So those also would be open, and government should take step and move forward and create a SIT, acknowledge our genocide, and give us justice.
Yes, I think काफ़ी सारे लोग इसी चीज़ का वेट कर रहे हैं अब. हमको तो in fact we've been waiting this for around 32 years, but now that there is a sort of a resurrection among general Indians also, कि now that they are well versed with whatever happened, whatever transpired, a lot of people are now waiting for the justice. It
Yes,
looks
yes.
like it'll take time because in the courts and they are still not. I think they are still not convinced about a lot of aspects. And
Yes, it will take time, but this has to be done. This has to be, the justice has to be given to us. It is our right, and our genocide is not a myth. It's a reality. Better, the better administration and courts realize this thing and give us justice which we deserve.
it's been a wonderful time hosting you, Vikas ji. I'll definitely have to get you again because we have some topics that we need to cover. काफ़ी इन्फॉर्मेशन है विच इज़ स्टिल पेंडिंग एंड बहुत सभी चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो कि लोगों को नहीं पता है अभी तो सो दैट वट एवर हैपन टू अस शुड नॉट हैपन टू पीपल at other end of
Yes,
the
anyone
country as
else.
well.
Yes, yes, yes. True. It was Akshay. It was pleasure talking to you, and you're doing a great job. Keep on doing this thing. Unearth a lot of stories which are still hidden, and I look forward in talking to you some other day. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you for
Thanks.
coming.
Jai Hind. Namaskar.